Chapter 3 Melissa. Determine the plan. Grui suddenly had a backbone. Fear, wandering, and uneasy were all curled up in the corner. Only then did he feel in the mood to examine Klein's remaining fragments of memory. Grui used to stand up, close the valve of the pipeline, watch the wall lamp slowly dim until it is extinguished, and then sit down again, while unconsciously rubbing the brass wheel of the pistol, while holding the side of the head, quietly after thinking, in the dark, with crimson color, like the most attentive audience in the movie theater. Perhaps because of the impact of the bullet, Klein's memory is like broken glass, not only lost coherence. Many places are also obviously missing content, such as where the exquisite revolver came from. Is it suicide or homicide? What the sentence "everyone will die, including me" in the notebook means. Whether there is anything strange in the 2 days before the incident. Not only these specific memories had become fragmented and incomplete, but also the knowledge acquired. Looking at the current state, Grui believes that if Klein returns to college, he may not be able to graduate, even though he has only been away from campus for a few days and has not relaxed about himself at all. In 2 days, I have an interview for the history department at Tingen University. Universities in the Kingdom of Rune have a tradition of not directly detaining graduates. The tutor gave a recommendation to Tingen University, a recommendation to Baekling University. Grui silently watching, the red moon outside the window slanted west, gradually sinking, until there was a slight light in the east. The horizon dyed gold. At this moment, there was a movement from the inner room, and soon, footsteps leaned towards the isolation door. Melissa woke up. She's on time as always. Minruijo smiled, influenced by Klein's memory, and felt that Melissa looked at her own sister. However, I don't have a real sister, he then quipped. Unlike Benson and Klein, Melissa's Enlightenment education was not completed in the Sunday school of the Night Goddess Church. And when she reached school age, the Kingdom of Ruin promulgated the primary education law, established a lower and middle education committee, and provided special funds to increase investment. Within 3 years, on the premise of the incorporation of many missionary schools, a large number of public elementary schools were established, strictly maintaining the principle of religious neutrality, and not involving the disputes of the Lord of the Storm, the Goddess of the Night, and the Church of the God of Steam and Machinery. 3 pence a week at a public primary school may seem expensive compared with a copper penny a week at Sunday school. But the former study on Sunday only 1 day a week, the latter a full 6 days a week. The combined price is almost free. Melissa, unlike most girls, grew up loving gears, clockwork, bearings, and other things, and determined to be a steam mechanic. The elder brother Benson, who had suffered cultural losses and understood the importance of education, supported his sister's dream just as he supported Klein's college education. After all, Tingen Technical School can only be considered as secondary education, and there is no need to go to grammar school or public school to accumulate. Last July, 15-year-old Melissa passed her entrance exam to join the STEAM and Mechanics department at Tingen Technical School, raising her tuition fees to 9 PA a week. At the same time, Benson's import and export company was affected by the situation in the South Continent. Both profit and business volume were greatly reduced, and he had to lay off more than 1/3 of his staff. In order to keep his job and maintain his life, Benson could only accept more heavy tasks, must often work overtime, or go to places with bad environment on business trips, just like these days. Klein did not want to help his brother bear the burden, but he was born a civilian. He was admitted to the ordinary grammar school. Once he entered the university, he strongly felt his own shortcomings, such as the source language of all countries in the northern mainland for the children of the aristocracy. For the children of the rich class, it is the content of learning from a young age, and he did not contact until the university. There are many similar aspects. Klein almost used all the strength, often stay up late and get up early, just barely catch up with others, and successfully graduated with an average score. The memory of his brother and sister jumped in Jioming Grui's mind until he turned his hand, and the door of the inner room creaked open, and he suddenly woke up and remembered that he was holding a revolver in his palm. This is a semi-regulated item. It scares thickets and the cut on my head. Seeing that Melissa was about to come out, Jioming Rui pressed his temple, hurriedly opened the desk drawer, dropped the revolver into it, and made a bang. What happened? Melissa heard the noise and looked around in confusion. She was in the most youthful stage, and even if she could not eat anything good, her face was thin and slightly pale, but her skin was still full of luster and gave off the air of a girl. Seeing his sister's brown eyes investigate, Zhou Mingri tries to be calm, picks up whatever is close to him, and then calmly closes the drawer to hide the presence of the revolver, while the touch of the other hand on the temple makes him sure that the wound has healed. What he took out of the drawer was a silver white pocket watch with a vine pattern. When he pressed the top gently, the cover popped open. It is the father of 3 siblings. The Royal Army Staff Sergeant left the most valuable items. But second-hand goods are second-hand goods. After all, in recent years from time to time, there will be problems. Even if the clock artisans repair, it is the same. Which likes to take it to? Elevate the status of Benson, repeatedly embarrassed, simply lost at home. I have to say, Melissa may really have a mechanical talent. After mastering the theoretical knowledge, began to use the technical school tools to tinker with this pocket watch, and recently claimed to have repaired it. Jioming Grui looked at the watch cover pop open, saw the second hand stop, subconsciously turned the top, intending to wind the pocket watch. However, he twisted a few laps. There was no sound of spring tightening, and the second hand remained motionless. It seems to be broken again. He looked at his sister without a word. Melissa glances at him without expression, rushes over and grabs the pocket watch. She stood in place. First the top of the pocket watch button pulled up. Only turned a few laps, there is a click of the second-hand walking sound. Normally, shouldn't pulling be to adjust the time? Jioming Grui's expression suddenly turned dull. Just at this moment, the distant cathedral bell clanged, 6 in a row, distant and ethereal. Melissa listened, then raised the button on the top of the pocket watch, and then twisted continuously to correct the time. All right. She spoke briefly and without emotion, then pressed back to the top and handed the watch back to Jioming Grui. Jioming Grui smiled back awkwardly but politely. Melissa took another deep look at her brother, turned to the cupboard, grabbed her toothbrush, towel, and other items, and slid the door out to the communal bathroom. She just had a look of disgust and resignation on her face. Caring for a mentally handicapped brother's eyes? Jioming Grui shook his head and chuckled. He closed the cover with a snap and opened it with a snap. As he repeated this action, his mind wandered to a question. Without the silencer, Klein kills himself. Well, for the moment, and he kills himself in a way that Melissa doesn't even notice. Was she too fast asleep? Or is the fact that Klein killed herself just weird? Snap, open, snap, close. Melissa came back from washing and saw that her brother kept opening and closing the cover of the pocket watch. Once again her eyes mingled with helplessness, and her voice said weakly, "Klein, you take out the rest of the bread and make sure you get new ones today, as well as meat and peas. You have an interview coming up. I'll make you lamb stew with peas." While she was talking, she moved the stove out of the corner, made a fire with leftover coals, and boiled a pot of hot water. Before the water was ready to boil, she opened the bottom drawer of the cabinet, took out a can of inferior tea like a treasure, and sprinkled a dozen pieces into the pot, pretending that it was real tea. Each poured 2 large glasses, and Melissa and Chow shared 2 loaves of rye bread over tea. No with chips, not a lot of gluten, but it still doesn't taste good. Jomingrui is now weak, hungry, relying on tea, and will finish swallowing bread. After a few minutes, Melissa finished eating, pulled up the black hair that hung down to her vest, looked at Jomingrui and said, "Remember to buy new bread? Only 8 pounds? It's hot, too much goes bad. And lamb and peas. Remember, really love nerdy brother." I want to stress again. Jomingrui smiled and nodded. All right. As for the pound of the Kingdom of Rune, Jomingrui believes that it is close to his customary 1 jin. That is 0.5 kilograms. According to the comparison between Klein's meat measurement memory and his own. Without saying more, Melissa got up and packed up the last piece of bread for lunch, put on the old gauze hat left by her mother, picked up the handbag she had sewn for books and stationery, and prepared to go out. It's not Sunday. She has to go to school all day. It was about a 50-minute walk from the apartment to the Tingen Technical School. With stagecoach, a penny a kilometer, a 4-penny limit in the city, and a 6-penny limit in the suburbs. And Melissa left early to save money and walked there herself. As soon as she opened the door, she paused again and half-turned her body. "Klein, don't buy more lamb and peas. Benson may not be back until Sunday. And remember, bread is only 8 pounds. Okay, said the boy, Jomingrui helpless answer. At the same time, he silently said the word Sunday several times. In the northern continent, the year is also divided into 12 months, ranging from 365 to 366 days a year, and the week also has 7 days. The first is a result of astronomy, which makes Jomingrui suspect that this is a parallel world. And the latter comes from religion, because there are 7 orthodox gods in the northern mainland. Eternal Sun, the Lord of Storms, the God of knowledge and wisdom, the Goddess of Night, the God of Mother Earth, the God of War, and the God of Steam and Machinery. Watching his sister close the door and leave, Jomingrui sighed and quickly moved his mind to the transfer ceremony. "Sorry, I really want to go home."